Virgo rising. How you doing, Virgo? So this is going to be your reading for the Sagittarius new moon that's happening on the 1st of December 2024. Hello and welcome. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and as you just heard, and as you can see, I channel multi-dimensional energies through my body, both in the form of physical and vocal light language. All of this brings in healing, attunement, and activation codes. It's going to be happening throughout the reading. So I just wanted to let you know that's what's going on. So as I said, this is for the Sagittarius new moon, which is a fellow mutable sign, Virgo. It's squaring your Virgo energy. A square is an aspect of Mars. It can bring about drama, frustration, conflict, the desire to win at all costs. And if those things are coming up, it's usually just letting you know where there's friction. And when we have friction energetically, this is where we're able to build. A square is all about building. Remember, Mars is our motivation, our drive, and our action, right? Our get up and go. And so squares, even though they probably involve more challenges, well, they do involve more challenge, just different types of challenges to the trines and the sextiles. It's all about building for the long term. It's a really powerful aspect. And that is wherever Virgo is in your chart. Now, I read for the rising signs. So for those of you who don't have Virgo in the first house in your natal chart, look to the house that it does fall in. Look to the themes of that house, and you want to apply those themes along with all the other meaning you've got going on in Virgo. I have a Virgo sun in the second house, so I would apply the themes of the second house as well as the themes of what the sun represents to the messages that come through in this reading. It will be as if wherever that Virgo energy falls in your natal chart, as if it's now moved to the first house energetically. So the astrology that I'll be talking about in terms of the rising sign that I'm going to break down, it will still relate. You've just, as I said, you've got to add on your own natal chart meaning on top of it. As always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. So I'm going to talk about where this is happening for Virgo rising, and then I'm going to let you know what's going on with the tarot, what's going on with the cards after we've done some bullet points of what kind of intentions to set around this new moon. If you are watching this after the event, there's a strong likelihood it is happening in how many hours? What was the time now? In 14 hours. I work with 6-month cycles. So what comes through in these readings is going to serve you until the Sagittarius full moon in Gemini season. So as I said, you're not missing out on anything. I like to do more sort of long-term energy cycles. Now, Virgo rising, this is happening in your 4th house. This is the bottom of the chart. This is your roots and foundations, your ancestors, both blood and soul lineage, the roof over your head, your parental figures, and the things that you do in private. It is the darkest point of the day that you were born, right? That's where the 4th house is. So there's a sense of things in private, things that aren't in the full light of the sun. And it is about your foundations, right? It doesn't just have to be literal foundations of the house. It's your root system, how you grow and evolve in this incarnation. The 4th house is like the pillar in which you grow from, right? So Sagittarius energy, mutable fire ruled by Jupiter. And so we've got a new moon here. So what kind of intentions could you set around this new moon? It's going to give you some of my ideas. Always go with what's right for you. You can set, because this is a new cycle, you can set intentions around establishing a stronger foundation, a stronger root system, where you are being, your root energy is being empowered to, in other areas of your chart, be drawn to situations and scenarios that, and your mentality and your perspective are more in alignment with giving your roots more nutrients, right? Strengthening that root system, strengthening those foundations. That can be a great new moon to set at with it being in the 4th house. a stronger connection to your ancestors and your past lives. Not surprising they're kicking off at that. This can be elevating your relationship with your parental figures. And this also, if you want to look for a new home, this is a great new moon to set that around, or elevating your relationship with your home, relationship with your private life. Now, the flip side of intentions that you can do that are more kind of shadow work is asking this new moon to reveal any distortions, any sort of, I don't want to say dead roots, but parts of the root system that are draining the energy, that aren't holistic in their nature and bringing everything together, right? Then this can be old programming. We can get a lot of trauma in the fourth because obviously it's your parental figures and the ancestors, and it really doesn't matter what they do. One way or another, they distort our field, and for good reason, usually for us to learn life lessons, but you can set intentions around, okay, what is at my foundations that's comes from that, right? That is no longer serving me anymore. That's part of the next stage. You can set that intention to say, hey, universe, can you show me what that is? So you can then do the inner work. You can set a new intention, one around feeling more safe and secure in the world, energetically and physically, as well as where are those blockages that are stopping you from getting to that point quite naturally. You can set intentions around the new moon to go on a cycle leading up to the Sagittarius full moon of doing some deep healing with the ancestors and with your parental figures, and basically like everything that we do is helping all of that. But you can set a stronger intention. Okay, next 6 months I want to do some deep work with the ancestors. I really want to get to know them. I want to get to know what their core wounds are and do some healing work with that, and really work with the ancestors. And that has a knock-on effect of your relationship with your parental figures as well. So those are kind of intentions you can set. Remember, this moon is squaring your Virgo energy. And so there's an element of where are you in conflict with your embodiment of self with the root system, and vice versa, i.e. like where do you feel like you're constantly butting your head around how you embody yourself, how you see yourself when it comes to those foundational spaces, when it comes to your relationships with the parental figures, with the ancestors, where is it diminishing you? And that can be a really good way of working through that square, as well as a cycle of you stepping into your power in your home, right, in your foundational space, and really getting an alignment with the truth of your embodiment of self, and building with that to build a strong foundation. So those are the bullet points. Now, what's going on with the cards? There are going to be 3 main piles on this selenite stick. Wand even, I don't know, not necessarily stick, is it? The first part is, what's the intention of this moon, right? What does this moon really want to bring to your table, right, and integrate with you, that's then going to unfold over the next 6 months? So that's pile 1. What's the highest, most integrated intention and download that you're getting with this new moon? Pile 2 is the flip side, is the challenge. What is going to be a challenge over the next 6 months in alignment with this moon? Remember, challenges aren't bad things. What was I saying? That distracted me a little bit. Oh yeah, the challenge. So pile 2 is going to be the challenge and how to work with it, right? So challenges help us go deeper within ourselves, actually create more space in the long term, and are part of the denser matrices that we're incarnating. And so we've got to work with that energy rather than hide from it. So challenge and how to work with it. Pile 3. Pile, okay. Pile 3, these cards are flying out for you, Virgo. Pile 3 is how to work with pile 1, right? Where to focus yourself, and amplify certain themes, what is going to give you clues and tips of like what to sort of apply yourself with in regards to the Sagittarius area of your chart. We're also going to get cards from the bottom of the deck. I'm also going to be pulling some cards, a couple of cards on the Mercury retrograde. It's happening in Sagittarius, and this Mercury retrograde is very much in alignment with the Sagittarius and Gemini lunation cycle that we're now in. It's going to go direct 12 hours after the full moon in Gemini. So it's all very tightly aligned, as well as some other astrology, which I'm going to bring in. So I'm going to be pulling some cards on that, as well as at the end of all of that, I'm going to be pulling one card from 3 different oracle decks. And this is going to sum up the whole message, as well as bring up anything that may have been missed in the breakdown of the astrology and the tarot. Right, so what's going on? We have a grand fire trine being activated. Ushila di shinia lea di anamot ufana. Ituela di shinia di shinimoto fiela di ela. Grand fire trine. All the fire signs are being activated by aspect. We have Mars over in the sign of Leo and the North Node in Aries, and they're all making aspects to this moon and funneling this energy in. What I really like about this is for loads of months, right? Summer and the last couple of months, we've had grand water trines, right? Where all the water signs are being activated together. And that has led to, so a trine, should mention what a trine is all about. A trine is an aspect of Jupiter. So it brings things together in order to elevate and find a deeper knowing, a deeper wisdom, and a deeper truth. And with that, a confidence, a really empowered confidence that allows more luck, opportunities, and abundance feeling to come in, right? So they're all yang signs, they're all fire. So they've got 2 baseline things in common. So the transfer of energy is really easy, but they're 3 different modalities and they're all coming together. It's like an upgrade of our instincts. So what I was saying about the grand water trine, we've done some big emotional work, big emotional healing. And then we had the Taurus full moon, which was for me one of the biggest moons of the year, certainly to those that I've spoken to as well, like a complete nervous system reset. In helping release limiting beliefs in the head that stop us from feeling in our physical body that we live in abundant reality, right? That miracles are available, all of that jazz. That full moon helped reset things in order for our body to feel more safer, more abundant. And now, after all that emotional work and the physical work, our instincts are getting rewired in alignment with that. Ito, sha, tin, 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 tin. Fire is very instinctive. It's like the immediacy of it's like the immediacy of an action, right? Not the thought that leads to it, not the emotion that leads to it, or the physical sensation that leads to it. It's just the go, right? And so it's very transformative, very passionate. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of courage with the fire energy. It's very transformative as well. But in essence, it is realigning our instincts, elevating our instincts to this frequency. So we're allowed to roam in our own way and trust in the journey, trust in the process. That's something I've been called to say in every reading. The main, by the way, that if you want a deeper understanding of this moon, and that might be a good idea as it's a fellow mutable sign and it is squaring you, but only if you've got the time and the inclination. But that's where I break down the astrology in way more detail. And I know I break it down in good detail here, but I really go into the weeds in the collective readings. I love it. Of like how everything's talking to each other, which then forms an energetic blueprint, a frequency that gets downloaded into all of us, and we're working with that, right? I also pulled collective tarot and channeled messages as well. And it's the baseline for the All 12 Signs series. So as I said, if you want a deeper understanding, go check that out. But one of the core messages that came with the Sagittarius moon, right? The Archer, mutable fire, wants to roam. That this is, as I said, allowing us to be more confident and at ease with the way that we roam, right? That it's got nothing to do with anybody else. And our path, however that looks, is to trust in that. Disheniatum. So that's one of the key themes. That and trust the process, which I will get to why that keeps coming up in a little bit. So this grand fire trine, Mars is over in Leo, in your 12th house, your hidden house, your house of mysteries, the unconscious spaces, things going on behind the scenes. This is where we get anxiety, depression, loss, grief, isolation, all of that good stuff, because we're working with the unconscious realms, right? Trauma responses, limiting beliefs. Itoela dishenia, otoela dishini moto shiania, disha yanimo otoinima. Dishinimu duela itoala. And so 12th house transits can be difficult because a lot of that stuff can come up and you can just feel like you're isolating a little bit from the world, and there's a heaviness it can bring, but underneath all of that is the magic of your soul, right? Your actual powerhouse energy is your Leo energy. Itiala dishinimoela dishenima doshinimoto fiala Dishinimoto Shalema. Dishinimoto. Oh, wait, where did that fall from? Diala. Sorry, they're just all the cards are coming out very quickly for you, Virgo. That I love a 12th house transit, no matter how difficult it is, especially Mars moving through the 12th. It is going to retrograde in the sign of Leo and go back into Cancer. And so you find when Mars goes through the 12th, you find it's really good to then use that energy to observe your actions, your deeds, your motivation, because with Mars in the 12th, it's going to let you know what's in those unconscious responses. It's like a little a light in the darkness of look over here, look at what you're doing, look at how you're behaving. If there are things that need to come up that are there to be untangled and sorted out. So that's one side of Mars in the 12th, as well as, so it's kind of like reorientating your motivation, your drive that's stuck in the unconscious realms. So you can also see a real activation around your motivation that's coming from a very deep-rooted place, especially as it is the magic of your soul, right? So Mars is also accessing through the actions that you're taking, right? Those instinctive unconscious actions are going to be, one, helping you heal, as well as two, activating the connection with the magic of your soul. And what I like about this with the 4th is, you know, I talked about parental figures, I talked about the ancestors and how so much of that conditioning is embedded in our unconscious realm. And so with the Mars support with this new moon, as I said, you're going to get one, as I said, all the things that I've just said. And so it's really aligned in with the love languages that we learn from our parental figures, all those sorts of things that sort of hang around in the root system. Mars is going to do a fantastic job of sorting that out, as well as really elevating your unconscious motivation and drive in alignment with this new frequency. Now, North Node in Aries in your 8th house. Okay, you got a bonus card from this deck. 8th house, the outside world's resources. So this is the resources of anything other than yourself. And this can be bonuses, commissions, inheritance, both 3D and cosmic inheritance. What else? Taxes, debt that's owed to you or debt that you owe. So it's dealing with the resources of the outside world or more one-off chunks of money compared to the regular income over in Libra in your 2nd house. It's also about relationship dynamics, because it's the interaction between you and anything other than you and the lens in which that shows up, right? So this is how we give and receive and that feedback loop of reciprocity. And so often we can have scarcity complexes here, right? Are we getting the resources we need? Are we getting the relationship dynamics that we need? Are we showing up in ways that are looking at the world from a place of scarcity or a fear mindset, or are we finding more abundance there? There can be codependency here as well, right? Or giving too much or taking too much. Hyper independence, probably likely for the Aries energy. It is also your relationship dynamic. Ooh, all right. Your relationship dynamic with Source. Diala. Ooh, I like the card at the bottom of the deck. I'm going to try and remember to flash that at you. And so it's a very psychic house. And all these houses are like more of the magical. I mean, all the houses are magical, but these three are very magical. So your fire energy, your instinct is the big player of the way that you engage with the magical realms. And so the North Node has been getting you to head into new territory around relationship dynamics, around scarcity, around resources. Right, so often we can, if we haven't got what we needed, we then stop what we want to do because we're like, oh, I need that in order for that to happen. Or we may have had certain situations where we haven't had the support, we haven't had the relationship dynamic, and then we keep expecting the same thing to happen again. The North Node has been helping Virgo rising stretch into that new dynamic, as well as Virgo, like all the other Virgo energy, this still applies. Because the North Node has us moving into new territory, expanding this. We're hungry for something new. So these three combined is one, activating some deep healing around the parental fingers, ancestors, or that might be a slight thing for somebody. Don't want to go into detail about that. And how that may have recreated certain love languages and dynamics with you and the rest of the world, impacted your mental health, whatever it is, and maybe blocked your magic, right? That can be a very core thing with this formation, as well as activating a stronger level of foundations within yourself that's leading to healthier reactions and relationships with the outside world and deepening connection to the magic of your soul. Wham, bam, bam, right? So all of that goodness. Now, the ruler of Sagittarius is Jupiter. And where is Jupiter? Well, Jupiter's hanging out in Gemini, another mutable sign. It's been there for a while. This is in your 10th house of your life purpose, your career, your visibility, your reputation, right? Life purpose doesn't have to be career. Career can just facilitate it. It's where the sun was at the peak of its arc on the day that you were born. So it's all about the sun energy compared to the darkness of the root system, right? But we actually need a stronger, healthier root system in order for the tree to grow, for those leaves at the top of the tree to expand towards the sun, which is the 10th house. And I've just realized something cool. Right, I'm glad I realized that, and I'll bring that up. So Jupiter's there. Jupiter's not going to be there again for another 12 years. So if you've not caught the Jupiter in Gemini transit series, I really do recommend it, especially for the 10th house. Jupiter has its own playlist, so it's really easy to find. Anyway, Jupiter's up there, right? It's expanding the wisdom of your understanding of your life path, right? Really helping you find an embodied faith and truth around that. Jupiter does expand things. It can expand your publicity, expand the opportunities and the experience and the joy that you're feeling around where you're headed. But it's retrograde at the moment, which kind of means a little, well, not always, a reversal of all those things, because Jupiter retrograde is all about questioning, right, and getting deeper within yourself to the truth of who you are by questioning things. Through that restriction, we actually get a bonus. So it's really helping you reanalyze, okay, where do I want to go? How do I want to be seen? And with that Gemini energy, it's very obviously mutable, lots of different things, lots of different aspects of the path that you walk on. And Jupiter is really helping you go deep within at the moment, to understand the resonance of your path, and rather than getting disappointed of how it may unfold, of just having a confidence within that, deep within you. And so this is influencing your 4th house. So there's a real sense of an alignment between holistic life, right? Good life purpose, good career, happy home. And so it's influencing this new cycle in the new moon in the 4th of like, whatever's blocking, Jupiter's like, not on my watch. And really helping facilitate the expansion of the root system. Now, Gemini ruled by Mercury, and so you and Gemini are ruled by the lovely Mercury, and this is in retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius. So this is always going to the retrogrades are always going to influence you a little bit more than everybody else, predominantly in general. And so we have 2 planets that are retrograde. So Jupiter rules the moon, Jupiter's in Gemini, ruled by Mercury. So Mercury's influencing Jupiter and therefore the moon, but Mercury's in Jupiter's sign. So this is what's called mutual reception, where they're in each other's realms. They're psychically hotlined with each other. They're facilitating each other's journeys, and they're also helping out where they are. Right. So how do I explain this? So they're essentially like you live with someone. No, words. This is funny when I'm talking about Mercury. You're house sitting for a friend. You've never been to their house before. You don't know where anything is. So you spend a lot of time trying to figure out where everything is in the kitchen. With a mutual reception, you don't need to do that figuring out because of the connection with the ruler who knows where everything is, which means the journey in that realm, in that home, is a lot smoother, a lot easier. But they are also, from their two respective places, their actions are facilitating the other's actions. So they're both individually doing their own thing as well as supporting each other in different ways. So we had this with the Taurus full moon. Jupiter and Mercury were governing that moon, even though it was a Venus moon. So we've got a thread from that full moon to this new moon overlapping, and they're now both retrograde. And there's been some pretty hardcore messages coming in all the readings, and it's because of the retrograde, because retrogrades mean revisiting, revising, reassessing, reevaluating, all the rewords. It's where we bring depth and nuance to something because we're going over the same territory 3 times. So it gives us more time to contemplate, to get to the deeper knowledge underneath it all, with, as I said, with more nuance. And so, but it is about taking time. It is about things not necessarily going the way that we think they are, or misdirections or redirections that can feel a little overwhelming and confusing. And these 2 retrogrades, because they're governing this moon, is why I've just felt called to say trust the process, because we're not going to have all the answers and this is going to unfold. So it is really allowing it to do that. So Mercury is influencing Jupiter, and again, this is the holistic back and forth between your home and your work. I can see a lot of good brainstorming, a lot of good ideas coming in at home that is to do with the next stages of where you're headed and what you're doing, as well as Mercury's recalibration of how you perceive the energy of your home, of your roots, your foundations, to the truth rather than the trauma. Now, I haven't mentioned this in the other readings because it's in the collective reading, but Virgo, this moon and Jupiter are both square Saturn over in Pisces. Now, Virgo, you are the only other mutable sign. So if you've got stuff around, I would say between 5 degrees and 20 degrees, I mean, that's nearly all of Virgo. Basically, your Virgo energy is creating a grand mutable cross, right? So we had a grand fire trine, and now we've got a grand mutable cross. So all the mutable signs are being activated. You've got Saturn over in the 7th, which is about the other. It's one-on-one relationships that are important to you. Can be source, can be a lover, can be a friend, can be a client, whatever it is. And so that's squaring this moon, activating a high level of maturity. I talk about the themes of Saturn in the collective reading, so go watch it. But that Virgo energy of yours is also getting activated. So you can feel like you're being pulled in lots of different directions with this transit. That's one of the energies around a grand cross. So where is the root system? The 4th house is the root system. The 10th house is the leaves of the tree. They're expanding outward. The 1st and the 7th are the branches. Now, for a tree to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger in a healthy way, it needs both of the branches to be in balance. So there's this sense of acknowledgement of any distortions around self and other, and the imbalance there. This could highlight, right? Because this is the holistic incorporation of 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th. So as I said, you can feel like you're being pulled in lots of different directions. Self, home, other, work. If this happens, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, it's just that's one frequency of a grand cross. Calm yourself, get a moment of stillness, clear your energy, clear your mind, and then see what comes through. See which of those houses gets activated after you do that, because then you want to go in that direction. And then check in and allow your intuition to guide you, where you don't feel overwhelmed and being pulled in lots of different. We want to get in the eye of the storm, basically. The other side of a grand cross is a generator, an absolute powerhouse of a generator, where all those 4 houses are working together and it's going round and round and it's building energy and it's getting stronger and stronger. So it's very powerful, but you can feel a little disorientated anyway. So Mercury is trining Chiron for this moon, so that's fusing into this moon, and Chiron's in Aries, and Chiron is the master teacher, the wounded healer, and this is it's been in Aries for a while, which has made this North Node in Aries quite interesting, because it's been bringing up core archetypal wounds around the Aries energy. So this is wounds around scarcity, relationships, your connection to source, your relationship with source, all of those core wounds that have maybe stopped you from roaming freely as yourself out in the world. Highlighting wounds around not getting the resources you need, all those kind of things. Anyway, Mercury's trying it, so it's very supportive energy. You're going to get a lot of downloads, a lot of clues and awarenesses and perceptions around those wounds. Those wounds may get highlighted, both just because you might be thinking about them or certain situations may happen, whereas that Mercury is going to be like going to get the answers really quickly around how to rejig the nutrients and the root system in a way that isn't distorting based on those wounds. You've got a lot of wisdom coming through, basically. Right, so let's get into the tarot. So first up, we have the intention of this moon. We have the 9 of Swords in reverse, the 8 of Pentacles, and the King of Swords. So the 9 of Swords is sleepless nights, right? What regret about the past, worry about the future, not being in the present, not being able to enjoy the ride, basically. And so this is interesting for several reasons. One, the 4th house of your home, things you do in private, right? And this sense of when you're in your root system being a bit worried, a bit scarcity mindset, fear mindset, all of those kind of things. Maybe you've got a lot going on with your career and your home and your relationships, and you're just feeling quite overloaded and a little stretched at the moment. But just energetically, this in reverse is a release of that, right, in your root system, which, I'm feeling tingling all over as I say that. Also, Mars in the 12th, right? Nightmares, things behind the scenes. That's often linked into sleep. It's linked into the dreams, the unconscious. So around what may happen in the future, what has happened in the past. And so it's coming in reverse. So the intention of this moon is to set you free in your root system. And as I said, I felt tingling all over when I mentioned how the root system is no longer going to be influenced by that into such a degree as it has been before. We then have the 8 of Pentacles. I love this card at the moment. So I got a little download about this one. Can't remember, maybe a month ago. Of this is step up to your incarnation, right? Step the blank up, pull your socks up, enjoy the ride, put in the work, whistle while you're doing it. Enjoy the experience of refining your incarnation. So with that 9 of Swords in reverse, of releasing that fear, that's giving you more space to do exactly this. Another side of this card is you doing the work at home. For some of you, this may be that you work from home or you get a lot of things done at home. That is really activating your material world moving forwards. And also I can see in terms of sort of what I mentioned about the relationship dynamics and love languages that we learn that are not really our own, that this energy feels like the capacity to then put in the work beyond those distortions. Like there's a real sense of commitment to the refinement of a relationship. And as I said, that can be a relationship with the whole world, not just one-on-one with people. And then the King of Swords, hello, Aquarius. This is your 6th house of work, how you work, physical health, routines, co-workers, and therefore collaboration, pets, and therefore acts of service. So there's a theme around you doing the work and you being clear about it and being sovereign in it and being confident within yourself. But if we take the 6th house out and we just stick with the card itself, right, this is a real clarity of vision and being able to implement it. And you see the butterflies behind on the throne. It represents that the king has gone through a big metamorphosis and now is fully in alignment with its perspective. Remember, we've got Jupiter and Mercury ruling this moon, right? So it's all about wisdom and the way that we perceive things and the information that we're collecting that's getting rejigged here. So there's a real sense of you being in your seat, being in your power, and a commitment to the frequency that's coming in. Like, again, getting really good ideas at home and being able to activate them, being able to be very sovereign as you push them forward. You knowing what you want in your life and how to make it happen. So the challenge and how to work with it. Now, we've got a card that's been showing up quite a lot as the challenge, right? Or just in general. This is the Jupiter and Gemini card, which makes me laugh that it's been showing up a lot in these readings. And I love it when this card shows up, because it's just letting you know that there's something going on in your perception that is an illusion, that isn't real. Even though it may feel very, very real, it's not actually the reality that surrounds you. And so it calls you to be a bit in observer mode, right? So this is the challenge that's going to unfold, that there are certain limiting beliefs. There's certain structures that have you feeling that you're trapped and you're caged. The universe is going to want you to look at, right? And so this may be situations that actually happen, right? As well as internally an awareness of what these limiting beliefs may be, right? And this can be all of the things that I've talked about in terms of relationships, in terms of scarcity, in terms of feeling safe and secure, the stuff going on, right? And it's calling you to have a look and change your perspective, because how to work with it, we've got Neptune, we've got the Hanged Man and the Nine of Pentacles. So the Hanged Man is the only card with a halo, and it's made this decision to be upside down in order to change its perspective and get some divine inspiration, get back to your own divinity. So to work with this, it's calling you to go inward, right? Spend some time perhaps in meditation, whatever the Hanged Man sort of represents for you, because that's all going to be very different. It doesn't have to be sitting meditation, but it's this sense of observation and awareness, right? And so it's calling you to find a deeper spiritual understanding of your roots, of the way you come from, of where you're at now, of your sense of safety, of this sort of depth in which you can grow and expand in the world, right? So it's calling you to want to bring this into your framework to help get out of the limiting belief. And I'm also just getting the phrase love and kindness with this, right? Of being very either to yourself and perhaps any situations that may involve others that have sort of put these limitations up, rather than being in a state of resentment and pain around it. You know, Neptune is very compassionate, it's very empathetic, and I feel like that needs to be both ways with this. I'm just reflecting on my own journey with certain parental figures and difficulties over the years, and also relationships as well, of like really coming to an embodied sense of everything happens for a reason. I want to be a little sick when I say that. But it's true of like, all of those things had to happen in the density that we currently exist in, for the lessons to come through. So that's that softening of the dissolving of certain things. And then we've got the Nine of Pentacles. Now this figure, great for 4th, 10th house energy. This figure knows what they need to do in order to bring about a holistic life. Happy home, happy work, right? Making those decisions, putting it into action with the desire to have a holistic life. So for some of you, you might be feeling burnt out by work or prioritizing your home life over that flow. And this is really saying, no. There's been some blockages around you creating abundance. And with this shift in perspective, they then want you to go out and apply it, right? Without any expectations, as always. This is also Venus in Virgo. So there's something around boundaries. There's something about you embodying yourself and not necessarily I guess certain relationships we can have. We can be give, and then feel resentful if we don't get it back, or frustrated. And then that changes the way we behave with others. Now, obviously, it's always important to set certain boundaries in order to reestablish your own value. But then it gets to the point, well, if that's part of who you are, and that actually it is just serving you, of like still doing it but without the resentment of like, you've made that decision to do that thing. Just make sure it's not with any assumptions of how it's going to turn out and whether you'll get anything back, right? With that Nine of Pentacles, it's very much, she's made those choices, she's confident in those choices, she's not then regretting those choices. And that's kind of that Nine of Swords energy. Okay, how to amplify pile 1. How to work with this energy. You have the Five of Pentacles, the Devil, and the Three of Wands. Again, all of these energies seem really loud and obvious, right? That Five of Pentacles is the scarcity complex, is the fear mindset of being left out in the cold, right? Feeling isolated, not feeling supported, right? They're outside the church, they're not inside the church, right? They're really run down. So this is tying in, one, how you may feel about being on this planet, how your root system may feel like, of just feeling a bit, you know, maybe some wounds from your childhood of feeling this way when you were at home. The Five of Wands sort of poked out and I put it back, so there might be something around that of like just low level conflict, right? Of sort of frustrating move energy that's a bit stagnant but always sort of like riling you up. And this card often comes up with 8th house transits, where that North Node is, of like looking at the world as a place of scarcity, and it's come from those roots. Eat. And then we've got the Devil, which is your 5th house of your creation energy, right? Often where the inner child is, and addiction is in the 5th. So there's something around reflecting on the wounds of the inner child and being in this mindset and not spending enough time in play or joy where there is no outcome, where it's not about being productive, right? In terms of the expectations of the world. That was another thing that came through in the collective reading. And I feel that ties in with the clarity that you're going to get by sort of freeing yourself up from those expectations and allowing a bit more play to come through. You know, these are things that trap us, that bind us, and it is saying, look, there is stuff that you need to look at to really help work through it, right? And really amplify this clarity. And what I'm really getting very strongly is, what does your inner child want to do right now? Right? Do they want to do some finger painting? Like, what? Fingers again. Doing stuff with your hands. There is something around that of like getting out of this mindset. The Devil is also about manifestation in the 3D world. So it's saying reorientate away from the Five of Pentacles and just do simple things like creating something, right? As I said, without any agenda, doing a drawing that may be crap, right? But it's that act of creation that's going to feed the root system of like, oh no, you're ready to create, you're ready to roll. Sorry for knocking it. And then with the Three of Wands, this is the Sun in Aries. The Three of Wands knows it's doing what it needs to do in the moment, and it's doing the best that it can, right? It's on the higher ground. It's starting on a new journey. It's not worrying about where the journey's going. It is just showing up. It's showing up and doing the damn thing and trusting in that and being confident in it. Both of these cards are like, I've made that decision. I'm working from my own integrity, and whatever happens after that is almost irrelevant. What was at the bottom of the deck? Well, we have Pluto, hello, Judgment, who is also in Aquarius, along with that King of Swords, around putting things into practice, putting the work in, right? So there's an element of, I call the 6th house the adult in the room, right? It follows the 4th and the 5th, right? Of the wounded inner child. And it's quite difficult to access that 6th if we are still running around very, very wounded, right? That inner child. So there's a real sense of elevating your maturity and your awareness of reality and how to work with it in the best possible way. With losing some of those restrictions and those limitations from the 4th, that because this is all about ascension. You see the dead are there. And this can be your old versions of self, it can be the ancestors, it can be past lives, and they're being raised up by the frequency of the angel to a higher perspective, i.e. they're letting blank go. and moving on with their lives. So there's a real sense of a liberation from the ancestors, from the dead, from old versions of yourself that's taking you into a higher stage, right? With that King of Swords, of how to operate from a really strong base. Now, Mercury retrograde, what's the intention? We have the King of Wands, big fire energy. So this is, you got two kings, you got the air and the fire kings, and we're dealing with air and fire with this lunation. So there's a real sense of confidence, maturity of your instincts, right? Your capacity to get up and go and roam and not be stagnant, not be in a fear paralyzed state, because this king, compared to all the other kings, is about to leap off that throne, right? We've also got the lion here and the salamander. So there's a sense of triumph and confidence and courage over the repeating cycles. Because the salamander's eating its own tail. But overall, this Mercury retrograde is getting you into your sovereign power in your home. Love that. Right, the challenge. The challenge for the Mercury retrograde, we have Venus. Hello, the Empress. So this is really tying in with that Five of Pentacles, with kind of the themes that I've talked about. Of the challenge is not seeing the creativity, not seeing the abundance, not seeing the fertility that is within you at all times and surrounding you in every single way, even if it doesn't necessarily look like it, right? This is always there. Venus, where is she right now? She's in Capricorn. She's going to move into Aquarius. So there's a real sense of, with being in the 6th house, I mean, she's locked. Okay, let's stay with the 5th. She's locked into the 5th energetically for the next 6 months. So again, it is this focal point on just being creative for the sake of it and not for any other reason. And again, tending to that inner child. What does that inner child, does it want to go and eat a bag of sweets, right? I mean, what is it? Does it want to read a comic? What does it want to go for a walk in the park and run around and swing on the swings, right? It's those kind of things that you're like, oh no, that's a bit too, I'm a bit too serious for that, or I'm mature now. No, we never are. Like rolling around in the grass, whatever it is, making a mud pie, eating worms. I'm just thinking of really old school children's things. I don't think kids are allowed out anymore, so they don't get to go and get really dirty. Anyway, so the challenge is this is what's blocking, is this sort of the difficulty connecting to this in a way that is fully embodied, rather than, I really do recommend the collective reading. A lot of what came through in that is showing up here around the confidence of embodying your own path without expectations of productivity. So yeah, this is the challenge of being able to engage with this in a mature way. How to work with the retrograde, Ace of Swords, downloads, right? Finding your inner truth. Lots of inspiration coming in from a very sovereign place. Give yourself space to get this information. That often means we need to be a little still and a little calm. But this is acting on that inspiration. So you may get some creative ideas. Go do them. Go do them. Even if you don't have all the resources you need for those things, do it in the best way that you can. Right, so we've also got the Chariot at the bottom of the deck. So there's a real sense of movement and a sense of victory, and the awareness that everything that's happened to you is a resource for you to move through the world without trying to control it, right? So there's this sense of confidence within you that's building, and your capacity to move around the world from a place of safety and a place of security, right? And this enjoying the ride of the movement rather than the end location. Right, I'm going to read these oracle cards in the order that I shuffled them. First up, we have from the 4 Agreements Oracle, which is based on a book written by a Virgo Sun. This was given to me by a Gemini rising. This is very mercurial. I always get it out for this reason. All the decks in the description box, by the way. Be impeccable with your word. Enjoy heaven on earth. So this is what she wants you to do, and this is the block of being able to do that. Impeccability of the word can lead you to personal freedom, success and abundance. You can attain the kingdom of heaven from this one agreement. Be impeccable with your word. Okay, what's coming through is, so when we make an agreement with ourselves that we think is what's coming through is about expectations, is when we're like, I don't have any expectations about what I'm doing. And yet there's something niggling within you as you say it. And so it's only on those times, if you say those things and you don't get that niggle, that's not what I'm talking about. When you get that little niggle, that little heartache, that little wound of like, I think I'm lying to myself, I want you to go and look inward. I want you to spend a little time getting some inspiration around that and doing some healing stuff with yourself, because otherwise we're essentially deluding ourselves on that. It takes practice to genuinely not have expectations. And it really does serve you. It really does serve everybody to be in that space. It's not about not having desires or preferences, but sort of, you know, the firmness of this, of coming through, of like, I've made that decision and embodying it, rather than having the regret and the fear running around. So when those things do come up, it's calling you to then reflect and be very loving and kind to yourself when you do that. Do some healing and put in the practice to get that word truly impeccable. Now, you got 2 cards from Rainbow Brainskull, my new favorite oracle deck. Oh, cool. Right, which one? I love this deck so much. Let me get the book out. Intercession. I don't know what that word is, I don't think. And how you know that's what you want exactly. Your childhood dreams may just be the dreams of a child. Oh, these oracle cards always blow my mind of how they link back into everything. Because there is some cool stuff going on with Venus that felt really, really relevant, even though she's not making an aspect to this moon. So go check out that collective reading. Both the moon and Venus are out of bounds. I talk about what that means in the collective reading. Don't let what you once wanted get in the way of what you may actually want now. Erase all past desires and tune in to what it is you are actually seeking in this moment. I love this bit of advice because I feel like it's going beyond what I've already just said about go play in the mud or something. Go do something that your inner child does desire, does dream of, in order to heal that. Otherwise, it's blocking where you're at now. I hope that makes sense. And I like how that's progressed that further onwards. It's like there's some crossed wires going on, that sort of there's like entanglement around that's stopping the flow of your energy, of your true current desires to be manifest. Right, next up, World Maker is only job in the final future. There will always be the need for the vast and unique realm of your imagination. We love originals. Share your vast inner world. It's one thing that can never be automated. There's that getting creative, that creating that world through that energy, right? Of building stronger, look, all those foundations that's going to get you to a point where the holistic life, the strength of you've got 2 kings, of your capacity to build your own world, that's not based on these other wounds. Right, I was just reminded that this next deck, I wanted to show you the bottom of the deck. Right, so we have repairing the veil, forgiveness, making amends, recognition of our unity. Between us all is a thin veil appearing to be a space that separates us. We look through this veil and believe ourselves to be distinct from each other. We assume that our thoughts and feelings are our own. We see bodies and objects and the spaces between them, so we engage the world in relationships between a duality of us and them. This veil serves as a mysterious illusion, making it so hard to believe in our inherent connection and unity. We can't always remember that what we do to someone else, we at the same time do to ourselves. When we claw at the veil out of fear, anger, jealousy, or resentment, manipulate another, misuse our power, or allow someone's actions to diminish us, we create a wound felt by many, not just those of us in the smaller direct relationship. Now is the time to, I mean, this is kind of summing up everything I was saying about, I mean, everything, really. Wild. Now is the time to examine where your actions have caused difficulty or harm to someone else. And also where you, so often we then recreate those pains that we faced with other people in our lives, with other situations. Like we're never, you know, without, oh, what phrase do I want to say? I don't want to say blame. I mean, it's always the system. It's never the individual, but that awareness that we are holding court in both sides. And also where you have been a recipient of harm. Regardless of what side you are on, it's important to take responsibility for healing this rift by bringing love, compassion, deep listening. It also can be with yourself as well, and presence to whatever is not in harmony. Do this for you and for your own liberty, as you become an unwitting hostage once you take the role of perpetrator or victim, both positions of weakness. Let go of all your resentments. Know your part in the dynamic and make the appropriate amends with that newfound wisdom and understanding. Healing, forgiveness, and mending what is broken in your world is a sweet, much needed declaration of freedom. Whoop! Now, at the bottom of the deck is the cosmic womb, the divine feminine. Oh, it's really hard to see this. No, that's just, it can't, it's all a bit blurred anyway. But this is a beautiful card. I'm not going to read it out, but essentially it is like you're in this sort of cocoon right now, where you're getting a lot of nurturing, a lot of nourishment, a lot of support, and you're being rebirthed through this recalibration of, you know, mother wounds as well, and all of that. You're getting some really lovely maternal energy around you, so you're being birthed out of it. And you remember the King of Swords has those butterflies, so it's come out. The end result of this is you coming out of this chrysalis being very clear in your mindset of what you need in your life. Right, Virgo, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it resonated. If it did, hit that like button. It brings me a lot of joy. If you want a personal reading, my details are everywhere. You can book through my website or email me directly, and that way you can pay by PayPal. What else do I want to say? Be good to yourselves, be good to those around you, safe travels, and be well until we meet again.